Welcome to the What Happens in Marketing podcast. I'm Ben Laifsky here for the LVIMA team introducing this episode. My co-host Jeremy Kadoich and I were able to speak with Chad Reelfs of Crimtan. Crimtan is a programmatic partner of LVIMA. They've been wonderful partners. This is a great conversation. Chad really gives us his perspective on the industry, where it is, where it's going, talks about some of Crimtan's advantages of working with them, especially with regard to dynamic creative. Talks about AI, as we all are required to talk about AI every day. But Chad also talked about some personal passions, including mentoring and coaching young people. Really shared some very personal things and that were rather inspiring. And I'm very grateful and happy to share this conversation with Chad Reelfs of Crimtan with you. Hi, and welcome to the What Happens in Marketing podcast. I'm Ben Laifsky, and I'm here with my co-host, Jeremy.
Jeremy Kadoich here from Lamar, Las Vegas Billboard Company, and we are excited to finally dive into the podcast today.
Great. And our guest today is Chad Reelfs. Chad, why don't you introduce yourself and your company and tell us what you do?
Yeah, you bet. Hey, Chad Reelfs. Work for a company called Crimtan. We're a UK-based programmatic advertising company, lean pretty heavily in data-driven technology and dynamic creative. We do all things programmatic, omnichannel platform. Company was started in 2009, and about 3.5 years ago, they reached out to me and a handful of others and asked us to help launch the US region. So been doing that for the last 3 years and just loving it. It's a great company, very transparent, very open. We're enjoying working with brands all over the US here, and it's just grown extremely fast the last 3 years. So excited to be a part of it. So thanks for having me on. This is pretty cool.
Great. In getting ready for this, you had given us some bullets about, like, to the uninitiated, programmatic, it all seems rocket science and also similar. It's hard to understand the differences between different providers. Why don't you take us through some of those differentiators for your company?
Yeah, go back a half step. Basically, back in 2007, there were a group of us. We were a part of a division at Intuit, TurboTax, QuickBooks, Quicken, and the founder of the company that we left to start, Sojern. We were the first company to create the online printed boarding passes for all the major airlines back in 2007. And we realized that people weren't going to be printing off boarding passes forever because this little thing called an iPhone came out in 2007, and so we knew it was going to change the landscape. The airlines allowed us to put pixels on their search, purchase, confirmation pages. We started capturing and curating all that. And we were really one of the first behavioral targeted networks back in 2007. And we grew that company to from 5 of us to over 600 employees. And 2018, we had a liquidation event, and around 2020, got involved in some real estate, venture capital fund, and I was out of the programmatic game for a while because, to your point, Ben, it felt like everything was about the same. There wasn't a lot of changes in what was happening in that time. And the old chief revenue officer from Sojern reached out and he said, "Hey, you got to check out this company called Crimtan. They're a UK-based programmatic advertising company. They started in 2009, a couple years after us." He goes, "But there were some things that really intrigued me about Crimtan. The first thing was they were actually running cookieless campaigns, which in 2022, that was pretty impressive. Everyone was talking about the world of the cookie and what was going to happen when it dissolved and blah, 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 blah. And we've exhausted all of that. But here in the US, not many companies had really created a solution for that, which, since they were running cookieless campaigns, that really drew me in. And that's really valuable for us from an international perspective. Obviously, here in the US, it's probably less important than probably it is internationally. So I was pretty excited about joining the company because of that. The other piece that was really big for me was their dynamic creative, how they were doing that. They'd actually purchased a dynamic creative company around 12 years prior and integrated it into their tech stack. And the reason why that's so important is I remember in my past jobs, we would work with a Flash Talking or a Jive Box, and we'd try and integrate that dynamic creative into the platform. And there was all this data leakage, and it just didn't perform the way that it should have, because if you know this, if you don't have the right inputs, the outputs aren't going to be, even though you're going, oh, we're going to create the right creative at the right time to the right audience. Well, that should be perfect, right? It was a pain in the butt to set up. It didn't perform. What I loved about Crimtan is that is fully integrated it into their tech stack. And because of that, there's almost zero data leakage, and the performance is outstanding. I really was intrigued by that. And the other thing that I was intrigued by is we function as a meta DSP. So we've got our own demand side platform that allows us to buy and sell our own inventory. Even more importantly than that is see the bid stream, which allows us to buy the right audiences at the right time on other DSPs. So then we also have traders on DV360, Xandr, Yahoo, and then we also have traders, our own direct purchase that we can do for Amazon. So that meta DSP approach was pretty valuable because we might run 2 or 3 DSPs at the same time and optimize. So to say all that, that got me engaged, and I've been here for the last 3 years because it just stinking works. Yeah, you can sell all you want, but at the end of the day, if it's not performing and people aren't buying more and you're not growing, then it's just a great story. But 3 years later, we've proven out performance, and that's pretty valuable.
That's fantastic. What would you say you're looking forward to in the next year, either for your company or the larger industry?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that is super important, the other big reason that I didn't hit on and why I joined Crimtan, is being a UK-based company. They're on the front end of GDPR and all the Privacy Act stuff. So they're a very transparent and open company, and I love that. To me, it's about transparency, right? Marketers want to know what's working. Are you giving me incremental lift? Am I getting exactly what I'm paying for, not what you tell me I'm getting? And we're a pretty open book. What do you want to know? Here's what's happening. Here's the sites that we're using. At first, to me, that was a little strange. I was like, why are we giving them all of our secret sauce on how this is working? Aren't they just going to take it in-house or whatever? Yeah. And Crimtan was like, no, this is just how we do business. And so because of that, we've continued to earn the trust and transparency of our clients. And because it is working, we're open, we're real, we're taking a lot of kind of time and off of their plates. We just keep growing. So I think that's a big piece, Ben, is the transparency and what's really working and how marketers can figure out what the analytics are and what's true lift and working for their campaigns.
That's great. All right.
I appreciate you guys sharing that too, because of the previous media buyer, you're like, what am I looking at? Where is my dollar going?
Yeah.
How do I go justify the spend yet again to re-up on the quarter or whatever it is? So I think that's an illuminating experience. It sounds like you're providing to your client. So
yeah,
that's great to hear.
And it's tough living in the agency world too, right? Because well, you either have metrics that you've got to hit from the agency perspective, or the client is saying, oh, I just want clicks. A lot of people coming to my site. You're going, okay, there's a lot of games people can play with clicks. You want a bunch of random people coming to your site and bouncing, or do you want the right people less people who are going to come and actually buy and drive you a return on investment? And that's what I love about where we focus on, is trying to find those right fits of people who actually want real people to come to your site who are going to buy your real products and tell that story in the correct way to get them to engage and buy. So
yeah, absolutely. An impression's not always just an impression or a click.
Yeah, I love it.
That's good. What trend are you currently seeing in marketing that businesses should start to pay attention to right now?
Yeah, What trends? No, I think that's good. Probably a little bit of what we were chatting a little bit before, right? What is actually working from my marketing plan? What's driving the actual return? We're seeing a lot more people spending in connected TV. There's a lot of growth there. So we tie some really good retargeting to that to show some performance, but get in front of those audiences. We're seeing a lot of growth there. Obviously, for us, we're seeing a lot of people come back to doing some dynamic creative. A lot of people had the same experience that I had back in the day where they're like, oh, dynamic creative, this sounds so great. And then it was a pain in the butt to set up and it didn't perform. And it was just big waste of time. And so now the technology, I think, has caught up. Companies like Crimtan that have that dynamic creative in-house. We don't charge anything extra for it. So that's a big piece that I think helps with performance. So we are seeing some trends there as well. And heck, in your space, Jeremy, dynamic or DCO or dynamic creative or digital out of home, we're seeing a lot more people spending there. I think there's more inventory, there's more engagement there. There's some kind of different dynamic that can happen in that space as well. So we are seeing more spending going on there as well. And then the last big trend that I am seeing a lot of is our brands and even our agencies are shifting more and more money away from the social platforms, partly because that's become a big black box. And I think a lot of these social platforms, when you sign off to allow Meta to use your data, you're basically saying, hey, our data is your data, do whatever the heck you want with it. And so they do whatever the heck they want with it. And so even if you got a retargeting pixel on your site and maybe that person landed there from a search or from a programmatic ad, once they hit that site, they become in the retargeting pool, and then Meta resells that data back to the highest bidder. Maybe someone went to your site to directly engage with the brand, but then all of a sudden Meta now is going to alert all of your competitors that, hey, there's a first party in there, so we're seeing where people, they're obviously still have to use these social networks. They're brilliant. They're great. But removing that retargeting pixel and letting a company like Crimtan own your retargeting and do your social on this other platform, do more organic and engagement from that perspective.
It's
So
that's
that's
interesting that you bring that up too, because I always say, like, when all the terms and services started updating and you had to click in, right? And we were sacrificing our data for convenience. Oh, I want to log in to this site via Google, or log in this site via Facebook or whatever, a social platform. It's 2 clicks instead of looking at everything, going through and like this was, gosh, that started like 7-8 years ago. All the new terms and services coming up and keep coming. So that's good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
How is the proliferation of new technologies changing your work?
Yeah, I think for us, what's great about, obviously everyone's talking about AI. They love AI and all the different kind of components to that. What
We
I
were
like,
waiting for that. We were waiting for that.
yeah, the buzzword. But what I love about programmatic, it's AI. It's the original AI, right? It's all machine learning, data driven engagement, finding the right people, the right time, engage them with those ads. And I think our traders are being able to leverage that. One of the things I love about Crimtan is we're small and we're nimble. And so our traders are still in there pulling levers and triggers, but at the same time, leveraging some of the AI technology to help find some of those audiences and build those in a more efficient way. I think there's a lot of efficiency that's happening on the agency side of things as well, to streamline maybe what an account manager was doing in the past with copy and some of those unique things. So I think that's pretty interesting. And then there's some really amazing companies out there as well that are being able to help with that incremental lift and taking what's happening over here on social, what's happening in search, what's happening in the programmatic space, and being able to really show true incrementality and what's building those and how all of those work together. It's not one or the other. You got to do all of these things to make it work. And I think there's some really cool companies out there that are doing some pretty cool tracking in that whole world.
Great. Quick one for you. What are the best ways that you guys have found to build a loyal community around Crimtan? Is it just the illumination of reports? Is it we're the best in the business and then that's why they're with us? How have you built this sort of community and loyalty around Crimtan there?
Yeah, that's a great question. At the end of the day, right, to me, it's all about building trust with whoever you're talking to. At the end of the day, there's a lot of people that I've worked with where I've said, hey, we're probably just not the right fit for you right now. Get your website in alignment, or you guys got to work on this area before I really do a consultative sell. So I think when I'm meeting with people, they realize I'm not just trying to sell them some of our products. I'm really trying to figure out what are their needs? Can we solve those needs? And if we can't solve them effectively, I get them in contact with someone that can. And that's mind blowing to them because I think they talk to a lot of salespeople and they're just trying to sell them something. I don't know if you're familiar with Myron Golden. He's amazing. Check him out. Any of his stuff is amazing, but he calls it commission breath. Agencies, clients can tell if a salesperson is just trying to sell them something or if they really care about them, you know what I mean? And I think one of the ways we built some loyalty is we're truly trying to solve their problems. And that's a big piece to solving their problem. And then at the end of the day, setting this up properly so the campaigns work and then they're working. And so the last couple of years, we go in with a $15,000, $20,000 test campaign. And now I've got agencies that are spending several $1,000,000 with us because it works. They're getting great customer service. We're super open and transparent. And it's working. If it's not broken, don't try and fix it. But I also love the fact that we're also finding the right customers who are willing to test something. We had one of our clients, they were getting a 3-to-1 ROI on retargeting. And they said they wanted a 4-to-1. We set up dynamic retargeting for them. And after 2 months, we had them at a 15-to-1 return on ad spend. Imagine how excited they were that we were able to take them from a 3-to-1 to a 15-to-1. The client was so excited, and it's all because the agency was willing to test a new vendor in the space. Most aren't willing to test, aren't willing to put in the work to set it up. And so not only did that account grow over the last year to a multi-million-dollar account, now we're running all the dynamic retargeting for their whole company. And imagine had they not been willing to test somebody, their client would have missed out on amazing returns. And I think that's a pretty cool story of growth and just servicing your clients really well.
Oh, that's great. I appreciate you sharing that. It is, and it is the commission breath that we always stay away from. You are a consultant for a problem and we may have a solution. So it's funny you bring that up. I do the same thing. I don't know if I can be a fit for you. And I'm sure, I don't know if this is going to be a good relationship to start. Let's figure it out first. But I'll turn it back over to Ben here.
That's good. That's good.
All right. This being a Las Vegas-based podcast, we have some Las Vegas questions for you.
Oh boy. All right.
I know you visit the city fairly often.
Yeah.
What's your favorite hotel in Las Vegas?
Oh my gosh. That's a tough one. I'll be honest with you. When I come, I stay in all kinds of different hotels. Obviously the Cosmos, fun spot, stayed there multiple times. Sometimes when I've got a quick trip in and out, I like, and I'm a little different. I like staying at the Westin. It's close to the strip, but it's a little bit off the strip and you can get in and get out. I'm mainly meeting with clients. If I'm there for a weekend, the Cosmo's fun, but man, there aren't any bad hotels. There's probably a few bad hotels, but I'll tell you a hotel that I think there's a lot of good things up and up coming with the Rio, this amazing place that was just about it in the 90s. And Nate's over there doing a phenomenal job. And that guy works his tail off. And I'm convinced that the Rio is going to be a really fun happening spot. So that's actually been a fun new spot that I've been a part of recently as well. So I think that one's going to be a good spot. They're going to get the locals back coming and people coming in from that one.
I love that you gave them that mention because that was the spot when I first moved here. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful and rooting for that place. And I'm excited for Nate and that whole team.
Oh man, if anyone can do it, Nate's going to make it happen, and it's going to be fun to watch. That's going to be the best comeback story in Vegas right there. So it's going to be awesome.
How about your favorite restaurant in town?
Oh my goodness. You guys are really, I should have pre-prepped some of these. Yeah.
So it came out first and then.
Yeah. I don't even know. I don't know. There's so many. There's nothing even that comes to top of the mind on that one. I should have been prepped for my favorite restaurant, but I'm pretty easy. I'm from Nebraska. So, we have good food here. Any good steak, man, if I can get a good steak, I'm pretty happy and pretty satisfied.
It was Nebraska, Kansas City ribs or St. Louis ribs?
Yeah, it's pretty close. We're not far from Kansas City. We're 3 hours, so we're probably a little bit closer to Kansas City than St. Louis. Yeah, I'm a Kansas City ribs guy, so that's where I'd go.
Can't go wrong with that. One more Las Vegas question. What's your favorite place to view the city?
Oh, place to view. I keep plugging the Rio here, but there isn't any better spot than getting up there at the top of the Rio and getting a good shot of the whole kind of downtown area. It's amazing. So I think I'd definitely pick that again. Plug in the Rio here. Let's go. Shit.
And I'm excited. It's going to be, when they're all said and done, it's going to be exactly where it was. Ben, it's funny you brought that up because that was like the go-to when I was a kid, right? Always going there all the time. So nice to see the resurgence coming up. You would tell us about talk a little bit about your background and what inspired you to jump back into the program. Yeah. But I guess before you mentioned you were doing a few different projects before. Can you highlight a few of those? It was real estate in BC. It was, I guess, what was your favorite stop before you got back into the programmatic world?
Yeah, it was fun. We had a liquidation event at Sojern in 2018. We did $350 million valuation of the company, grew it from 5 employees to over 600, 14 offices worldwide. So it was just a really fun to be a part of that company, that growth from 0 to over $100 million a year in revenue and becoming a profitable company. That was an absolute blast. There's this thing called qualified opportunity zones that launched in 2017. And that means if you have a capital gain from selling stock, then you can reinvest it in real estate and startup businesses, and you get to defer your capital gains tax until about 10 years later. But you get a step up in basis and taxes. But what's really cool is that any real estate that you invest in any startups that you invest in, if you hold it for 10 years and sell it, you don't pay any capital gains on the growth of the business. And these are areas in underdeveloped, blighted areas. So you're reinvesting in a community that's dormant and they need an infusion of cash and businesses. There's an area in Ralston here in Omaha that myself, the founder of Sojern, and a few others reinvested in. And that was an awesome project. We bought an 88,000 square foot building, remodeled it, 100 plus employees, and have all kinds of business that was running there for 2 or 3 years. Started a venture capital fund, invested in some local businesses. And that was really great because I think so much of life is, especially with young people, right? You want success. You want to create success in life. And you realize success really comes when you're able to add significance, when you're able to add value and invest back into the community, invest back into others. And so for me, that was really cool because it allowed us to really pour back into the local community and in the city of Omaha here that invested so much in us as we launched and started Sojern here. So that was really cool and a blast to be a part of.
Sounds like a rewarding experience for you guys.
Yeah.
For sure. So
Really
we always
cool.
like to ask this one that doesn't really come out of left field, but do you have a memorable crossroad in your career and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, I think the early days of Sojern was pretty tough, right? We had some investment early on to start the company. I remember probably about year 3, we had to do some layoffs and that was really tough. And I remember the founder sitting in my office going, "Hey, At the end of the day, I max out all my credit cards. We've got as much money as we can get. And if we don't bring in 300 grand by the end of the month, we're going to have to shut things down. And fortunately, I was able to get a $350,000 deal closed that kept the lights on. And that was just enough to kind of help us kickstart the next couple months. And that was pretty big because you have a decision there. When someone is that transparent and they share it with me, one of two things, right? You go, all right, I better get my resume ready and go get another job. Or you go, hey, I believe in this. We've got something great here. Let's dig in deep and go figure out a way to make this happen. And that's what we're able to do. And that was pretty awesome to be a part of that at a critical time in the company's history for sure.
Wow. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, for what you
Wow.
want to
Unbelievable.
Good luck and fortune.
Memorable one.
Yeah.
Personally, for you, what hobbies and activities do you enjoy that really help you recharge?
Yeah, no, I love that. It's a great one. I'm married. I've been married for 30 years to my kind of high school sweetheart, and we have 4 kids. 3 of them are adults now. The youngest one is our 13-year-old. We actually adopted her from China when she was 2, and that was
wow.
one of the best experiences of my life. She's just an absolute joy and such phenomenal. So we still have her at home. The other 3 are adult children. So for me, it's been really fun the last handful of years of becoming more of a mentor, less of a parent. And okay, how do you invest back into your kids and give them tools and resources? You're obviously pouring into them when they're in the home, but as they get older, you become more of a coach in their life. And so that's been really fun the last few years, which is created this whole mentorship passion project for me of just pouring into the next generation. I love doing that. I love getting to the gym and working out, spending time with my family. And as you can see behind me, I'm a big Husker football fan. So we've been down in the dumps for the last 2 decades, but a good thing to come. It's going to be another great comeback story. The Nebraska Cornhusker and the Rio comeback story is coming in a couple years. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Last one for you, and you led me into this one, so thank you. And a brand new kid, maybe you just graduated or trying to get in the job world. What would you really just starting out in their career? What are the few key points you would share with them? Whether it is, hey, this is the path to success, or hey, this is how you stay mentally sharp, or just what are some of the things that you would instill or to share if you were mentoring someone from the initial conversation?
Yeah, that's great. No, I believe that personal growth propels you towards your purpose, and what you do daily directs your destiny. And so one of the big things to the rhythms and the habits that you build in your life are super critical. I'm a big guy in win the morning, win the day. Waking up early, I'm a person of faith. So words of affirmation, saying that prayer of just surrendering to add value to people, to allow the Holy Spirit to guide and direct me. I get in the word, I read it, figure out how I'm going to apply it, get in the gym and work out. Those are my 5 W's. My I is inspire someone inside your family and outside your family by 8 a.m. How are you investing and pouring into others? How are you serving others around you? In the end is no excuses, no complaints, live an unoffendable life, getting your mindset right to just don't allow your past to dictate your future. And so I think when you win the morning, you get clarity, you write out your goals, what's your finished Friday list? What are all the things you're going to get done by Friday? I think that's critical. I think another thing for young people and investing in is who's the person you want to become? What are your core values? What are the standards that you're going to live by? I think that's big. A lot of people go, oh, I want to make a lot of money, or I want to have all these career advancements. No, what type of person do you want to be? Do you want to be a person of character and integrity and that learns how to follow through and do what you say you're going to do? And I think as you build that into the foundation of mentorship and kind of core values of people's lives, and it becomes less about them and how can I add value to others and serve other people? And that helps them to become a better spouse someday, a better brother, sister, friend, family member, a better employee. All that thing revolves out of personal growth and development. And so helping people lay a foundation for that, I think, is just super critical.
Hey, Chad.
Yeah.
You've shared with me some of the work you've done in mentorship. Would you
Yeah.
talk about that?
Yeah, as my boys got into their 20s, I really wanted to have a good system and a framework for mentorship for them, and other young men were coming to me and saying, "Hey, will you mentor me?" And it's great to sit down and just talk about life and business, but I wanted to have that foundation, helping them understand what is your faith? How do you help them realize that there's more to this world than just what you accomplish? It's what you give back and invest in other people. What are the outcomes you want in your life? What are the core values? What's your unique calling in this season? How are you serving other people? So I've created this framework and this system to help people with mentorship from a personal growth and development. So, yeah, that's been a passion project of mine. Been working on that on nights and weekends, and God willing, might write a book someday and release that. It's a long process that's taken me a couple years, but yeah, getting close to getting that out there. I think a lot of people would be willing to mentor, but they're just not really sure what would I do? So it's just a system and a framework to give them some tracks to have discussion questions and make sure you're laying the foundation of mentorship rather than just winging it. Yeah, so that's been a fun passion project of mine the last couple years, and looking forward to see what happens with that fun project. Thanks for asking.
Sure. Sorry for butting in, Jeremy. I'll let you
Oh,
go.
you're good. No, hey, it's first time I'm being Chad.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you filling the gap from what I've heard from Ben. And I appreciate that. What is your experience with LVIMA? I know we talked about it briefly before we hopped on, but just how did you get linked up with LVIMA? And when's the last time you've gone to a few different events, but what's your experience with it so far?
Yeah, no, I love LaVima. LaVima was a critical component in the early days of Sojourn as we got in and started getting involved in the market there, and just love the way Brandy's been around forever, and love how it's one of the whole team, Ben and Brandy and Autumn and kind of everyone that's been involved in it over the last decade plus. It's it- they're it's the most well run of all of them that I've been a part of, which is great. It's so consistent. The people are passionate about it and we love it. So I knew as Crimtan, one of our strategies was, hey, we needed to get in and win over New York first. And that's what we did. We work with probably 15, 20 Broadway shows in New York. We work with One World and Empire and MoMA, a lot of big clients there in New York. And so as we launched in the last couple years into Vegas, we knew we wanted to be a part of LVIMA. So we've been an annual sponsor the last couple years, and it's been huge for us to connect, to get our brand out there, and the people are just amazing. Everyone's great, and we love it. So I love being a part of it, and it's a phenomenal organization for sure.
Absolutely.
That's awesome to hear, and very grateful to have you as a sponsor. Getting back to a couple last questions.
Yeah.
What's next for you? What's next for Crimtan? What's coming up this year for you?
Yeah, we're just looking to continue to expand and grow. We've got an office in New York. There's 200 plus employees worldwide. We've got around 10 here in the US. So we're looking forward to expanding here in the US as well and keep building out some of our bases here. Man, we're just continuing to invest into our clients because we're really nimble and flexible. We feel like we can meet some of the needs. Hey, we have this need that's outside the box that maybe a bigger organization can't really meet. I know my last company, as we scaled and we grew, there was less flexibility. It's kind of, here's what we do, here's what we're really good at. You either fit inside the box or we're not really going to work with you. One of the things I love about Crimton is we still have a lot of flexibility to help customize and build kind of bespoke campaigns for them. So I think for us, it's just continuing to expand there. We're seeing a lot of our analytics team is pretty unique. I think that's where another big piece where AI is going to continue to help us as we just dive deeper into analytics and what's making campaigns work and what's bringing true incrementality. So I'm looking forward to seeing how we continue to drive a lot of our geo demand and our halo analysis and brand uplift kind of study for our campaigns. So I think we'll see a lot more growth there as well for us this next year.
That's great. And then last question is, and we'll include whatever links that you have, but
Yeah.
it's the best place for people to follow you or get in touch.
Yeah, I think LinkedIn is great. LinkedIn's a great way to connect up with me. It's just Chad Reelfs. There'll be some links in there. And then going to Crimtan and checking out our website, and happy to connect with anyone. We love to just be a good consultative partner for them. And hey, if it works out, great. If not, we know our paths will cross again, right? We've been in this industry for a long time. So you just treat people right and take care of them and try and add value to them, and everything ends up working in the long run. So if there's anything I can do to add value to someone, then that brings a big joy to me. So I love that. If there's any way I can help anybody, I would love to connect with them. Be great.
Well, that's an awesome message and a great place for us to land the plane. So I want to thank you for being on. Jeremy, thank you as well.
Thank you guys. Yeah, it was a pleasure to chat and meet with you, Chad. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's fun. Thanks for being on. I'm really appreciative to be even though I don't locally live in Vegas, it was awesome that you guys invited me and asked. So made me feel like a real insider, but love LVIMA, love what they're doing. It's a phenomenal organization, and we're really excited to be a part of it again this year, and can't wait for our next event. It's going to be amazing.
All right. Thank you. And you guys have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate you guys.